Imagine opening your front door to find cops swarming your yard. Sirens blaring. All because some power-drunk HOA busybody decided your grandfather's old pool was a threat to community standards. But as she smirked, arms crossed like she just won the neighborhood crown, she had no clue she just handed me the keys to dismantle her entire empire of petty rules and pilfered funds. In the sleepy suburb of Willow Ridge, Illinois, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under a relentless Midwestern sun, life was supposed to be picture-perfect. Tom Riley, a quiet software engineer in his mid-40s, had moved back to his late grandpa's bungalow after a messy divorce, seeking the kind of peace that only comes from fixing up an old house with your own hands. The neighborhood, with its cookie-cutter colonials and white picket fences, looked idyllic from the outside: kids on bikes, barbecues on weekends, the faint hum of lawnmowers like a suburban symphony. But beneath it all lurked the iron fist of the Willow Ridge Homeowners Association, a self-appointed cabal enforcing rules so absurd they made you question if freedom was just a yard sign away. Tom kept to himself, tinkering in the garage, nodding politely at neighbors. But he noticed the whispers early on. "That guy's shady," they'd mutter at block parties, eyes darting to his slightly overgrown hedges or the vintage truck parked in his driveway. Rumors spread like weeds: he was a deadbeat dodging dues, a loner hiding something sinister. Tom heard it all but said nothing, sipping his coffee on the porch, cataloging every sidelong glance with the precision of a man who'd once coded firewalls for a living. He knew patience was his strongest code: observe, document, strike when the bugs revealed themselves. Enter Marge Kensington, the HOA president, a woman in her late 50s whose smile could curdle milk. With her perfectly coiffed bob, pearl earrings, and a clipboard eternally clutched like a scepter, Marge preached community harmony from her perch on the board. But her version of harmony meant micromanaging every blade of grass. "We must uphold our standards, dear neighbors," she'd coo at monthly meetings, her voice dripping with faux concern, as if a mismatched mailbox might summon the apocalypse. Behind the scenes, she was a machine of control, finding folks for holiday lights left up a day too long or cars parked an inch over the curb. Marge feared nothing more than losing her grip, her throne, as she joked in private emails Tom would later uncover, because without it, she was just another retiree with too much time and not enough friends. The trouble started innocently enough, or so it seemed. Tom's grandpa had built a modest backyard pool back in the 70s. A simple concrete oasis shaded by oaks, meant for family dips and neighborly splashes. It predated the HOA by decades, sitting on land with a grandfathered exemption from their bylaws. But Marge didn't care about history. She cared about uniformity. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Tom skimmed leaves from the water, Marge marched up his driveway uninvited, heels clicking like Judgment Day. "Mr. Riley, this pool of yours, it's not up to code," she declared, not even bothering with a hello. "Our guidelines require all water features to be inspected for safety. You'll need to schedule an appointment." Tom looked up, wiping sweat from his brow, and replied evenly, "Appreciate the concern, Marge, but this is an HOA property. Deeds clear, exempt since '74. Her eyes narrowed behind her designer glasses, that polite mask cracking just a hair. "Exempt? Oh, honey. Rules evolve. For the greater good. You understand. We can't have hazards lowering property values." She snapped a photo with her phone, lips pursed in that way that screamed, "I've got you now," and sauntered off, leaving Tom to ponder how greater good always seemed to benefit the one yelling loudest. The whispers turned to roars soon after. Marge weaponized the neighborhood app, posting veiled warnings about non-compliant residents endangering our children. Comments flooded in. Who's this guy thinking he can ignore the rules? Bet he's draining the aquifer or something. Tom scrolled through it all from his laptop. Face impassive. But inside he was building a digital fortress. Screenshots, timestamps, IP traces. He didn't lash out, he let the idiocy ferment. Then came the first official notice. Slapped on his door like a scarlet letter: violation, unauthorized pool maintenance. Fine, $150. Tom sent a certified letter back, quoting county records and the exemption clause. No jurisdiction. Folks, let's keep it neighborly. Marge's response? An email blast to the whole subdivision. Sadly, some choose division over unity. Remember, compliance protects us all. The absurdity hit peak when Tom's trash bin started mysteriously getting knocked over weekly, and his mail arrived torn. Neighbors averted eyes at the grocery store, one even muttering, "Pay up, man, or move out." Tom bore it silently. But he started his counterplay, quiet calls to the county clerk, pulling old plats, confirming the pool's land was untouchable. Marge, sensing resistance, amped up the farce. She organized a safety patrol that loitered near his fence, binoculars in hand. Just ensuring no trespassers, she'd say sweetly if confronted. But her volunteers gossiped louder than crows. One evening, as Tom grilled burgers alone, Marge appeared again. This time with a tape measure. "Your fence is encroaching by 2 inches, she announced triumphantly. "That's communal easement." Tom leaned on his spade, voice mild but edged. "Easement for access. Marge, not ownership. Check the survey, it's public record." She flushed, stammering, "Well, standards must be maintained. What if a child slips through?" It was laughable, the fence was solid oak. But her logic twisted like a pretzel. Tom captured it on his phone's hidden cam, her face contorting in righteous fury as she measured obsessively. That night, the fines doubled, $300 for obstructing oversight. Marge's board meetings became circuses of self-congratulation, where she'd pontificate. "We can't let one bad apple spoil our orchard," drawing nods from her cronies, who feared her wrath more than logic. But cracks showed, her emergency fund votes always passed unanimously. No questions asked. Tom dug deeper, using public records requests to uncover padded invoices for community events that never happened. Patience, he reminded himself. As the pressure mounted, the boil-over came on a sweltering July day. Tom had locked the pool gate for a quick repair. Nothing more. Marge, spotting it from her daily rounds, dialed 911 with theatrical flair. "There's a hostile resident barricading public amenities," she cried into the phone, voice quivering for effect. Sirens wailed minutes later. 2 squad cars pulling up, officers stepping out with hands on holsters. Marge stood triumphant, arms folded, sunglasses perched like a crown. "Officers, this man is threatening our board's authority, locking gates, ignoring fines, probably hiding violations." The cops eyed Tom warily as he emerged from the house, hands visible. "Sir, we got a call about a disturbance." Tom stayed calm, pulling out his phone. "No disturbance. Officers. Just private property maintenance. Here's the deed, federal exemption. Predates the HOA." Marge interjected, voice shrill. "That's nonsense. Our bylaws supersede that old junk. Arrest him for trespass on communal land." The irony hung thick, her demanding his arrest on his own turf. One officer reviewed the documents. Brow furrowing. "Ma'am. This checks out. No jurisdiction here." Marge's face twisted from confident smirk to shocked outrage. Mouth agape like a fish out of water. "What? But I'm the president. This is for order." Tom couldn't resist a subtle jab. "Order's great. Marge. When it's legal. Maybe audit your own books before pointing fingers." The cops left with apologies. But Marge seethed. Storming off muttering about appeals. That call was her fatal error. It triggered Tom's full audit request to the county. Citing harassment. He presented his binder, emails, photos, fine escalations. All tied to Marge's overreach. The county bit. Uncovering her creative accounting, dues funneled to her personal spa days. Labeled as board wellness retreats. Whispers reversed. "Did you hear Marge billed us for her manicures?" Tom watched from afar. The satire unfolding like a bad sitcom. The board meeting that sealed it was pure theater. The community center buzzed with uneasy residents. Marge at the head table. Gavel in hand. Preaching unity. "Tonight, we address the rogue element undermining our values," she began. Voice honeyed but eyes darting. Tom entered quietly. Binder under arm. Projector ready. "Mind if I share some facts?" he asked mildly. Marge balked. "This is a closed session." But murmurs rose. Folks wanted answers. Tom projected the audit, line items of embezzlement. $25,000 siphoned over years. Community funds for personal gain? That's not order. Marge, that's theft. Her face drained of color. Shifting from smug confidence to panicked denial. "Lies. This is slander," she sputtered. Slamming the table. Veins bulging. "I sacrificed for this neighborhood." Residents gasped as details emerged. Fake vendors. Inflated fines recycled into her pocket. "You fined me for a gate you couldn't touch," Tom said coolly. "While pocketing dues for your executive perks." Marge lunged for the projector cord. Face a mask of furious shock. But a board member restrained her. "Enough." The sheriff. Tipped off by the audit. Arrived mid-meltdown. "Miss Kensington. You're under arrest for fraud and embezzlement." She froze. Hoarsely pleading. "But I was enforcing standards. Without me." Chaos. As cuffs clicked. Her once poised facade crumbled into hoarse sobs. The room silent except for her heels dragging. Tom felt no glee. Just vindication, the tyrant unmasked. Her moral empire in ruins. In the aftermath. Willow Ridge exhaled. The HOA dissolved under county oversight. Replaced by a transparent co-op where rules made sense. Not sense for the elite. Tom reopened the pool for free neighborhood swims. Kids splashing where fines once loomed. Marge faced probation. Community service, irony's finest. Cleaning the parks she once ruled. Neighbors apologized in waves. "We bought her BS. Man. Sorry." Tom nodded. No grudges, he'd won with wits. Not wrath. The air felt lighter. Lawns less rigid. Conversations real. But as barbecues returned and laughter echoed, Tom wondered if the real villain was the system that bred such Karens, power unchecked. Ego unchecked. The pool shimmered under summer stars. A reminder that freedom swims best without gates. So, was Marge the true villain? Or just a product of a broken HOA machine that turns good intentions into greedy tyranny? You tell me, right or wrong?